It's that time of the year again where fire takes on fire, ice takes on ice, and a lot of self respect, a lot of pride, and more importantly, a, a place in WTC finals at stake. We are back on 19th of November. Well, not all of us would like to reminisce that particular day, but it is what it is. It's India versus Australia. It's the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and lots to talk about in today's session. This is Toast the Toss, and this is your host once again, Sanskar. After a long break from our Olympic segment, we are finally back up and running. Today with us, we have our very own finalists. Not a lot of new faces, are familiar ones. We have Aditya with us, we have Oreo with us, and we have our very own Jayesh with us. So, gentlemen, uh, how many of you, before I start off with any questioning, just a quick raise of hand, how many of you thought that our WTC final place would be nearly cemented before the New Zealand series? Raise of hands, please. Nearly cemented.
Okay, I'm in
All
the
right.
minority here.
That's 2 out of 4. That's 3 out of 4. Um,
I, to be honest, I never wanted them to be, but yeah, I was expecting that they will be there.
all right. We already some controversy into the mix. So let's start off with not a controversial one, but a question that has been buzzing around a lot. Uh, I'll start off with Oreo itself. Oreo, why do you think we lost against New Zealand? Were we overconfident? Were we underconfident? Are we really that pathetic against Spain? What did you make of our home series against New Zealand?
Well, over the years, definitely we are not playing that much of cricket in spin friendly tracks. Even our domestic circuit, we have more dependence on pace friendly pitches or flat pitches. And I think had we not gone for the spin-friendly tracks, we would have still managed to secure a win in Pune and Mumbai. Only thing that we thought that everything is in our kitty, this is our conditions, but it backfired. And that one rainy day in Bangalore made us right from the start. It did not go great, but unfortunately, we are here today.
That's fair. Quite a few valid points. I think the one being our domestic circuits and our conditions no being too favoring towards spin and not getting that enough practice. I would like to take your thoughts as well, Jayesh, and maybe after that, Aditya. What did you make of India's performance against New Zealand?
So I was honestly expecting that we may have a hiccup against New Zealand because New Zealand are a strong side and they are. I mean, all the players that New Zealand players were, they were comfortable with playing on Indian tracks now. One thing that our team probably missed was that we were too confident on this thing that spin is something that will dominate. But if you see a big chunk of our players, rather our senior players, haven't exactly played in the domestic format that much. Like they have not played a Ranji tournament or Ranji match. It's interesting how we focus that much on Ranji for other younger players, but for the senior players, it's gone really down. Like I remember back in the day, maybe a decade ago, Sachin even used to play maybe not many, but 2 or 3 Ranji matches every year. That was a thing. Even top players used to play 2 3 matches. That has gone down recently, and I think that impacted us. That and of course a host of other things. Just everything went against us. I was actually expecting we may not win it. We may lose it 1-0 or maybe 2-1 even if we are losing. But yeah, 3-0 was something unexpected. It's a hiccup, but let's see. Hopefully, the team can bounce back. I still believe we can go ahead and win the series in Australia. Maybe not confirm just through the win, but let's see what happens. So yeah, hoping for the best.
Some valid reasoning and some vote of confidence from Jayesh out there. Indeed, and interesting that you brought up the Ranji bit, because the other day I was going through an interesting stat, that not a stat, more of a fact. The last game Virat Kohli ever played for his state team Delhi was in way back in 2012, and the last game Sachin Tendulkar ever played was, well, a month before his retirement in October 2013. So indeed, that does beg a lot of questions as to why seniors don't prioritize local or domestic cricket as much. Is it about the facilities, or is it that they're just too confident with their ability, and, well, ends up backfiring them? That's a question for some other day. But Aditya, what did you make of our loss against New Zealand?
Yeah, quickly touching on the domestic bit, I think there's just way too much cricket these days. Not an excuse, but it is hard to prioritize a Ranji game and put in your effort there, and then again bounce back, play, you know, test cricket, and then there is IPL, and then there is ODI tournaments. So yeah, that may be a factor. But yeah, even for the younger players to develop, um, imagine facing a Kumble or a Harbhajan in the Ranji game when you're an up-and-coming cricketer versus the level of bowling you're facing now. So that also plays, I don't know how it will impact the future generations, but that will play a factor. New Zealand, yeah, rainy day in Bangalore. That sort of started the slide, but I think we batted pretty poorly. And we've been batting poorly for a while. If you look at the stats over the last 6-7 years, we've a lot of games we've been 130 for six, 140 for six, and we've had Ashwin and Jadeja lower down the order. Before that, we had the likes of Jayant Yadav scoring runs lower down the order and sort of rescuing us, which happened even in the Bangladesh series. We were 130 for six, and then Ashwin and Jadeja came, scored century. Jadeja scored a 90. This series that didn't happen. But to be fair to them, it's the job of the batters to score runs. And every innings in the series, we had a collapse. 46 all out, and then 400 for three to 450 all out. Even 81, 76 for one, and then last 15 minutes of play, I was like, finally, we're going to end the day on a high. And Mumbai, I don't know what we did. Helter Skelter, we ended at 88 for four, with Siraj burning a review in the process. I think building partnerships is key. In which batsmen like Pujara play a key role. If you look at our last two wins in BGT, I'm heading to BGT right now. Pujara 2018-19 was killer, scored 500, 600 runs, a lot of runs. And 2021, even though he didn't score a lot of runs, he faced a lot of balls, 150, 200 balls. And I think there was also a video where Hazelwood went into the team meeting and they were showing footage of Pujara's batting. He said, I cannot look at him bat anymore, and walked out. So it does play a factor. I don't know who's going to play that role for us. We'll head into that. But I think those were sort of the key roles. We didn't have an anchor. And almost always our response to the ball doing something was trying to hit out of the situation. We didn't have confidence in our defense to sort of grit that period out and then sort of score runs later. That didn't happen.
Interesting that you bring up the defense bit, because my next question was going to be around those circles. Is it that we haven't cultivated our defense as much, our younger generation, and have also senior players sort of compromised with the art of defense with the advent of T20, and also with the wind of baseball catching up a lot of heat in the recent past? And there's an open-ended question for all the three. Anyone who would like to take up first?
So see, batting and bowling, when you're bowling with the white ball or playing in a white ball game, you have a certain muscle memory and reflex to it, and you got to readjust a lot. If you think about Murli Vijay, he scored a lot of runs in England, and then he started playing the IPL, and then he started wafting outside the Aston quite a lot. So it sort of gets built in you. You got to rewire that and then sort of trust your defense. And if you don't trust your defense, it's going to be hard. Look at Rohit Sharma, Bangalore, ball was moving a bit. He could have just gritted that out. His response was come down the track, try to hit one over the top. So I think that rewiring is probably becoming harder with a lot more IPL cricket and white ball cricket.
Yeah, I tend to agree with him. And Coming back to your question, whether we have stopped making cricketers like that and all. So even last Ranji Trophy, I believe, with the exception of Sachin Baby, Ricky Bhoi and Cheteshwar Pujara were the top scorers. So whether they are doing uh, means like Cheteshwar Pujara still scoring runs and there's no youngster taking up his place is something of a concern. But then Ranji Trophy involves a lot of weaker teams also. So because then you have to play it and all that. So a lot of runs are scored by others. But my concern is solely of how we are taking forward this team, like how long we'll be discussing the names like Cheteshwar Pujara and all that. Because Abhimanyu Ishwaran, I think, is almost close to 3 years late. There was another player from Gujarat. He was in the thick of the runs. He never got an opportunity. I
Yeah,
understand
Gujarat.
that at one point there were other players, but how do you give them that kind of experience? Abhimanyu Ishwaran, he has not played that well because I follow Bengal cricket pretty closely. He has not been that great last year. So I'm not very confident of him being there at the moment.
Jayesh?
Adding on to that point, this has been a thing that I have also noticed, especially in the last few years. The top scorers of Ranji are not given as much. Like, let's say, if a person becomes a top five scorer, not even top scorer, he is the fifth best scorer of an IPL season, he will probably be given a T20 debut, an ODI debut down the line easily. That year, he will get it. But if someone is a Ranji top scorer, has been scoring runs at 60, 70 average for 2, 3 years, still his debut will be really delayed 3, 4 years if he gets one. So that's been a thing. We have had good Ranji players come up who were probably in hot form, but they were not given that international exposure. And well, they formed example of Eastbourne. He would have should have gotten that shot 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, but he's getting that now. And now, okay, if he would have gotten that earlier when he was actually in top form, he would have gotten that valuable experience, which I mean, right now he's getting that opportunity quite late. Maybe he's not in top form right now. Maybe he doesn't perform that well. So those things are there that like Ranji should also be really valuable, at least letting people who are performing well in Ranji get an opportunity in the national team, which has been a big blocker. It's been a blocker for a long time now, and just a growing concern every year.
And if you see over the years, like how in white ball a little while back, number four used to be a question of musical chairs as far as batting is concerned. The same used to be for our opening. Now, Ravi Shastri is somehow utilized Rohit Sharma and got the best out of him back then. He had a wonderful England tour in 2021. And barring him, we've tried the likes of KL Rahul, who again I thought should have gotten more chances. But okay, you didn't persist with him. Prithvi Shaw again had a very poor coordination with his footwork and his shot selection, and he was dropped within two tests. Then you gave Shubman Gill an opportunity. You also had Mayank Agarwal in the mix. Not to forget, we had Karun Nair in the mix. But Karun Nair, I understand he was given a consistent run even after his triple century, but just didn't come through. Um, so what I also see is a bit of hastiness, little lack of patience. It's kind of hard to decipher what exactly is it that the selection committee or the management seeks for you to get enough runs. Um, it's a question we can have discussion about some other day. But yes, this musical chair has to stop. You need to be given ample opportunities. Otherwise, what's the point of having domestic cricket really? All right, now that we have deciphered through our home performances, of course, the natural concern being how are we going to fare in Australia? Um we have been doing well in the last two tours, especially the last one. Nothing short of miraculous, I would say. In absence of senior players, our junior, our probably B or C side showed a lot of mettle, lot of character, and emerged glorious in that test against test in Brisbane. So what are your expectations, gentlemen, from this particular BGT in Australia, down under? Aditya, I'd like to start with you first.
Well, we have started on the right foot with respect to crises this time. Last time we waited till the third test. This time, even before the first test, captain is out, Gill is out. At least those shaguns are lining up. But again, see, based on our current batting form, I don't have too much hope that they're, Kohli suddenly going to turn it over and score 500, 600 runs. Will, if he does it, brilliant. Um, but having said that, even Australia's batting has been really iffy over the last couple of years. Labuschagne has not been in peak form. Smith also has not been in peak form. Their opener is also Nathan McSweeney, is whom they are saying will open. New guy, so you don't know what he's going to do. So if a bowling can fire, if Bumrah can have a killer series, and Siraj can find a little bit of his mojo back, then low scoring tests around 200, 250 is our best bet.
Interesting that you bring up batters' form and their form as well, because while we have been belittled at our home from an underdog, they too not too long ago have been belittled by our neighbors Pakistan, who have been on a rise in the last month or so, beating England 2-1 and now beating Pakistan, now beating Australia 2-1. So even Stevens, I would say, even though a different ball game. But Oreo, what do you have to say?
First, on the question of Pakistan, means why did they sack Gillespie of all people? They did not offer him even an extra money for taking additional responsibility. I do not know what happens with Pakistan. Nonetheless, uh, I am not sure of what I am expecting going forward for this series. Like everything seems very clouded at the moment. Uh, it, every time it seems like it's a disaster, but you have to like even last time about 4 years ago when we had this discussion like that infamous innings happened, and after that everything went in the right direction. Whether the guys will be equally charged up, that has to be seen. So let's see how it goes. But I have one concern. We have been speaking a lot about the expectations on Bumrah. Bumrah somehow disappointed me during the series against New Zealand. He was not taking wickets, and he was not getting adequate support from the other pacers in the team. So, what is the ploy over there? Whether Akash Deep will be effective, whether Siraj will be effective, that's a concern. And even last series, the last BGT series in Australia, I don't think so. Bumrah contributed to that extent. I remember by the end of the series, we were depending on net ballers. So yeah, that's how it has gone.
It's an interesting point you make there, Oreo. Yeah, uh, our bowlers have been slightly below par. Bumrah maybe just got his spots right, but just not the results. But I think Siraj has been under delivering for quite some time now, which is a cause of concern. Jayesh, what do you make of the team? What are your expectations from this series?
I have actually a feeling that some of the new faces will surprise us. I mean, they better. That's the only hope if we have to win this thing. And especially in the bowling department, I do think that it won't be one of those series where Bumrah will dominate the entire series, and he won't be the Mitchell Johnson of Ashes for us. But I do think in this particular series he will do much better. Indian team did have that hiccup, 3-0 loss is there. It's on everyone's mind. They also know that they have to really, really win this if they want to, win at least. I mean, maybe not win it 5-0 or 4-1, but they have to win this if they want to keep their hopes alive. So the team will be fired up. They know that, I mean, they know that they have had that big loss. I don't think Bumrah will be the main guy who will be picking up all the wickets, but I think this time he may get support from some of the new faces. Maybe Harshit Rana might debut. Let's see what happens there. And yeah, maybe Khalil Ahmed, whoever plays alongside Bumrah. I have a feeling that we hopefully we could get some kind of a partnership, maybe Bumrah and Rana or Bumrah and I mean Khalil Ahmed or someone along these
We
lines.
even have
Whoever they decide.
Krishna, who I feel
Prasidh
might be
Krishna is
more
also
suited.
there, yes.
And even
So
Mukesh Kumar, who got a 6 for in the first A game against the Australia A, who I also feel is more or less ready. They just don't give enough opportunities for some reason, but it remains to
yeah.
be seen. With all being said and done, let's move to the other side of spectrum, the Australians. Um, I think Pat Cummins as a captain has nearly ticked all the boxes anyone could ever think of after the type of colossal mess Australian cricket was in, especially after Tin Payne's captaincy exit and, well, his controversial exit from the team owing to his disciplinary issues. Uh, People didn't initially have a lot of faith to begin with in Pat Cummins. He was a great team man. He commanded everyone's respect, but can he deliver on the field was always a question. But boy, oh boy, he has shown some character, right from Ashes to winning the World Cup. He has had it all, and I think one bucket, one thing left to tick in his bucket maybe is winning a BGT against India, something them not been able to for the last 10 years.
10 years.
2014 was the last time they emerged victorious.
Yeah.
So, what are your expectations from Australia, gentlemen? I'll start with Oreo first.
Well, that's a very nice thing to tell, na? The 10 years, it reminds me of the India in the 90s. We used to struggle with things like this. But Australia per se, it looks good. It looks good enough to go ahead. I think more than them looking good, we look weaker at the moment. So I'm not I've not gone into the players their playing level per se, but I think they have the men to do the job.
Sounds about fair. Jayesh,
I think I just had the state team list right there, right next to my eye, and I would say Australia also has been, of course, as we discussed, underperforming recently, and I mean Test cricket at least. And I think in this particular series, they would probably over rely on a two or three type of faces. I think they would over rely on Steve Smith, and he hasn't been the kind of Steve Smith he was like 5 years ago. He's good, but he's not that kind of menace in Test cricket right now. They had been relying on Manas Labuskakne for some while, but I think in this particular series, they will probably not have that good a series in terms of bat. They will probably rely on one or two faces. Maybe Steve Smith will do good. I always admire his batting a lot, so I think Steve Smith might do well, but their batting does look weak to me. So there's this particular thought that if our bowling performs as expected, I think we can clinch some victories because their batting isn't the strongest suit at the moment. So that's what my thought is. I think the batting on paper at least it looks weak, and it's a bit over relying on guys like Steve Smith and Manas Labuskakne.
an interesting point you make there, Jayesh. So, in my perspective, now again, this is my thought. I think this series will come down not just no other bowler to no other batter. So maybe just down to these two individuals. From Australia, it will be Travis Head. From India, it is going to be Rishabh Pant. It's going to come down to these two left-handers, and I'm betting that these two will be the top run scorers for their respective teams, and maybe even top two run scorers of this series. What are your thoughts, Aditya, on this bet?
Yeah, I think Australia is going to kill us. They are here and they don't like losing. And as Oreo was saying, they're not used to not winning something for 10 years. I don't think they've even gone 10 years without winning a World Cup for that matter. So, and look at the scheduling. Usually they start off easy and then go into the harder ground. This time it's Perth, it's day-night test, and then it's Gabba. They're going for the kill. Their bowling is top-notch, one of the best bowling attacks going around. And Khwaja is one person we are forgetting at the top. He's been solid. I know the other opener is still a question, but Khwaja, he'll grit it out. He'll be that player who'll trust his defense and grit out through sessions if the going gets hard. And around whom, people like Travis Head, Mitchell Marsh, and Alex Carey has been in good form of late. All of them can come along, even if Smith and Labush Kakne doesn't score too many runs. Um, I have a feeling it'll be back to the 90s and not early 2000s, but back to the 90s where, you wake up and in Australia, you don't know if it's a score or the runs. I only hope it's not as bad, but yeah, I'm thinking Australia is going to.
Yeah, Aditya, I believe we are the older finalists over here. Sanskar and Jayesh would not have seen days like that. But you brought memories of the 2003, 2004, and it was just before the series. And I was having almost a similar conversation with a friend. Oh, we'll get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, we'll see six wickets gone. And the entire opposite happened, and that had taken us by surprise. Like even a Ganguly playing in Brisbane, I remember I had an exam that day when they won Adelaide. So that was something which came out of where we did not expect to win. We were just expecting some horror, but you never know. Cricket is a game of uncertainties after.
Absolutely. I'm glad you placed that. And what better uncertainty than youngsters shining on the largest occasion when you least expect them to. So, what do you make of our young brigade? So probably in this year of highs and lows, the one shining star, the one consistent batter who, according to me, at least from Indian side, has been Yashasvi Jaiswal, and his growth has been something which is immense. Yeah, which is immense. And agreed, he did not deliver as much in South Africa, but again, it's just his first taste of what it would be like on foreign soil. What are your expectations from the likes of Yashasvi, from the likes of Gill when he eventually recovers? Uh, and more importantly, Dhruv Jurel, it's hard to unlook, not look towards him and not give him a chance after the type of series he has had. And since we are trying very desperately to fill a hole in the middle order that we have, what do you make of? What are your expectations from the young brigade this time around? I'd like to start with Jayesh this time.
Um, yes, I think you mentioned correctly. Yashasvi Jaiswal has been a sensation. He has been really good in all formats, and I think he will play a crucial role in this series as well. In addition to that, I think in this particular series we might see all the youngsters, the young faces who have not played that much tests in general to perform really good. I have high hopes personally from Sarfraz Khan. I mean, he's not exactly a youngster, you'd say, but yeah, he's still young to Test cricket. I mean, international Test cricket. He's 27, and I have personally have high hopes from him. Um, through Jurel also maybe will. I mean, he will play the first Test match. I think so, like very likely to. So it will depend if he will be able to make an impact in the first few matches because he probably will not be getting more chances later on. That being said, I particularly have high hopes on these two individuals, Yashasvi Jaiswal and Sarfraz Khan. I think these two will, if they perform well, cement their place properly in the test team. I mean, Yashasvi Jaiswal already has. Sarfraz Khan is still is a bit not there at the moment. So I think I'm really have high hopes for him. If in those 5 matches, if he's able to get notch a couple of centuries, so he will cement his place. And I really hope for him because he's gotten this opportunity after a very long time, years of hard work. And this is one of the biggest moment, as big as it could be, where the team is in danger and we have to reach the finals. So yeah, high hopes, especially on Sarfraz Khan in this series.
Oreo?
I do not know. I don't think India experimenting a lot with the youngsters. Uh, I don't see them dropping Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma. Frankly speaking, I would have said, please do not take them over there. I would rather take a bullet, let all the youngsters get an exposure out there, but I don't think so. No one listens to me anywhere, so I don't expect BCCI of all people to listen to me. But yeah, the youngsters always are a fresh beacon of hope. So every time we will be excited, but you need someone to guide them. So, but I don't think so. The people to guide them at the moment are in great form, particularly Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli.
What's a podcast if there's no spice, there's no controversy in it? I'm glad, by the way, Morio, that you did bring up Kohli's and Rohit's form because that was going to be my next question. And yes, while we address our juniors, it's very paramount, very detrimental to address the form of seniors. Now, particularly pertaining to Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and KL Rahul. KL Rahul also made his debut 10 years ago, which the last time when Australia won a BGT. And what do you make of how important is their role going to be in this particular series? And is it safe to say, at least from Kohli's and Rohit's perspective, that this will be the last BGT and probably their last ever series in whites if they underdeliver? Aditya, this question is for you.
Oh,
See, I think Rohit is slightly on the older side. He's 38, and I don't know how much hunger he has to keep playing Test cricket and fitness also to keep playing the 5-day game. So maybe for Rohit, even if he does perform well and we don't make the finals, I think he would take a hard call on his career, play IPL, and he can come back as an uncapped player 4 years later,
yeah.
keep for Mumbai. Kohli is still 36. Jayesh said that Sarfraz Khan is old at 27. Youngsters, Oreo, I tell you, 27 is old, it seems. Uh, Kohli is fit. It's entirely up to his drive. If he can get 1 or 2 innings going, we need that old Kohli fire back. I just don't see that in him. People say it's parenthood. I don't know what it is. If somebody can throw a few galis at him and light the fire under him, I think he'll continue to play at least for another couple of years. KL Rahul is, I know, man, the potential that fellow had, and I think mentally he's very weak. So I don't see him performing, especially in a tough country like Australia. I don't see him doing well in the BGT. Maybe 2 tests, 3 tests, he will get a chance. And if you're already 2-0, 3-0 down, then maybe a Sarfraz and a Jurel and the young brigade will get blooded after that.
I want to just touch upon this bit. Yes, I think we have spoken quite a bit about Kohli and Rohit, even on our WhatsApp groups, for quite some time now. And I think it's no matter how much we discuss here, ultimately, I think they've earned the privilege, sort of, or they've been given the privilege that they take a call on their own careers, no matter how good or how bad they perform in the coming series or further. With respect to KL Rahul, it does personally upset me. For one thing, comes from our state, Karnataka. Second thing being, if you look at his first class record, even before he made his debut for India, he seemed like a genuine red ball candidate. And outstanding numbers. He had triple centuries, left, right, and center, winning, clinching Ranji for Karnataka and Irani Cup for Karnataka as well. What, according to you, has gone wrong for KL Rahul over the years? Has it been his white ball interference? and prioritizing white ball a lot, or is it just the psyche? I mean, if you had the wisdom, if you had the influence, what would your message be to KL Rahul, apart from backing off and retire, of course? Oreo, this question is for you.
Moment you said that you're particularly sad with KL Rahul, I was thinking you are related to Sunil Shetty for some reason. Oh, but uh, to be honest, I have not followed KL Rahul's career that much. Like I understand he started out really nice when he was young and all that. He gave us hope 10 years ago. Yeah, that was an amazing series. But what has gone wrong for him? I think the hunger. Uh, I don't see that kind of interest, and there's a lot of bad luck which happens with him. That comical way he got out a few days ago, that was that was quite hilarious. But I don't see that hunger in him, and yeah, that's what I feel. He's very uninterested. That's okay. Life goes on. I also have the similar kind of mindset. So probably both of us can hang out. KL Rahul and I can hang out, singing Sunil Shetty songs and all.
Oh boy. But do you think it's lack of hunger or the opposite? Do you think he overthinks a lot? I think paralysis by analysis does a lot of damage. I believe that you suffer more in imagination than you ever would in reality. Do you think that's the case with KL Rahul? Aditya, go for it. And maybe even Jayesh after Aditya.
Yeah, I think mentally, he does tend to overthink and make the ball look or seem much more better than what it actually is in reality. And I don't know if you ask the question, what would you tell him? I would just say that, dude, you are a bloody good batsman, and just believe in yourself that you're a bloody good batsman. Just go out and express yourself instead of having so many doubts in your mind. Ki what is going to happen? To anyways not scored runs in a while. Just go out, express yourself, trust your defense. That's what he did in South Africa and England, and he came through. Somewhere, as Oreo said, the way he got out is a typical, example of a batsman completely muddled in his mind. Should I leave the ball? Should I play the ball? And he was just so scared that, okay, if I play, is it going to bounce? Will I get out? And then he did some Bharatanatyam or something and got bored between the legs very indignantly. So yeah, just somebody needs to have a chat with him. Ravi Shastri would have been a good person to give a pep talk. I know he's there with the commentary team, but maybe take him out for a beer or something. Just ask him to chill out and express himself.
This story does remind me of Rahul Dravid's 200 in Adelaide in 2004, because I think the story did come emerge that he was also going through a torrid time in that particular series, and then John Wright out of nowhere tells him that, you know what, go for a movie, don't come to nets, just have a chill time, and come the next day Adelaide test starts and he scores a 233. Yeah, Oreo had to say something.
Sanskar, how old were you when in the year 2004?
Is that really relevant? Is that really relevant?
No, no, but I will be adding a little bit on KL Rahul after Jayesh speaks his mind
Sure,
about
sure,
KL.
sure. Please, Jay.
Right. So I think for KL Rahul, if I see his career, I've always seen he's one of those people who is a really good 50 over player, and he had to decide which part of the spectrum does he want to go now, 20 overs or the Test cricket. And he did make a decision, I think, along the line in his career that it's gonna be 2020. It has to be anyways. If a player has to choose between Test cricket and T20, be it any part of the world, they will choose T20 nowadays because that's the one that pays. Test cricket won't be paying you that much. And he's been a pretty solid ODI player. I've always rated KL Rahul in ODIs. Like I remember long ago reading up in newspapers that he had like 5 or 6 consecutive 50s, which was like a record or something long ago now. But that was there. So he's an amazing 50 over player who should probably, if I were to talk to KL Rahul, I would just say to him that to choose one of them. Now, he's 32. He's not that old, but still, I think I would just say to him, maybe retire in Test cricket. Because I think he has amazing potential in ODIs and T20s. And in ODIs, he's been a special player. Right now, also his average would be around 50, I think. So he's been really good there. And even if he has a good series, even if he has a good series, maybe scoring runs at 70 or 65 average, I would still say that he has to make that decision. And it's the logical decision to choose T20, so he should be hanging up. Either that, okay, if he really loves Test cricket, maybe he can, and if he has a good series, then maybe okay, hang up on T20. I mean, not at least T20 is fully, and just focus on Test cricket and ODIs. So he has to make that decision in his mind. I would just suggest him just hang up Test cricket boots, have a good series, play well, then maybe decide up that ODIs is the one thing for me, and just focus on that.
At this
Who
point,
mentioned
Jayesh seems more
who
better than
mentioned
KL Rahul.
who mentioned analysis paralysis? Jayesh showed
Huh?
us some signs of it. But having just thought about KL Rahul, I would like to retract. He's going to have a great series in Australia. Do you know the reason? There's no going on his head anymore. Every year, for the last few years, he had this Goenka fellow shouting at him and all that. There's no Goenka over there. And I believe he would also be pretty excited about the auctions and all that. So he seems to be, I think he would be in a great state of mind. If someone can give him a small pep or a motivational talk, hey, come on, you are going to get some 38 crores. I think he would be up for it. Score.
All right. Well, we can decipher a lot out of every player, and well, we can only hope that they do well. And with this hope, I would like to conclude this particular segment with the favorite thing we like to do, predictions, where we love to be proved right and we love to be proven wrong as well. Um, what are your predictions, gentlemen? I'll start with Aditya.
4-1
You need to mention the team.
to Australia.
Perfect. Oreo.
3-2 Australia.
Jayesh.
I would also say 3-2 to India.
Just curious, which two do you think we'd win?
Uh, I wouldn't make that prediction, but I just have this feeling that this is one of the series that somehow India will just get out and just win it. We'll have a few, a bunch of players contributing. I'm just very hopeful for people like Sarfraz Khan and maybe even Jadeja have a good series for all you know. So I have a feeling that we will be doing well in this particular series, and that's why I just thinking even if we go down one or two test matches, we can make a comeback, and that's why I have this thing. We may go down. For all I know, we will be 2-1 down. And we will win the last two tests. But I have a feeling we'll be eventually winning it up 3-2.
That's some bold prediction by Jayesh. Since I'm the host today, I have the autonomy to be diplomatic, and I'll say this. If we somehow outshine them in Perth, I will stick my neck and say that we will win this series 3-2. If not, I think it's gonna be I think Australia is gonna bully us with 4-0, even maybe 4-1. If we are not gonna do, like, for us, Perth and Adelaide is imperative. If we don't do well there, there's no way India is gonna win the series. So if they win one among Perth or Adelaide, I have serious hopes of India winning this particular series. But if they don't deliver in Perth and Adelaide, Australia all the way 4-1. So it all comes down to how they start. It all comes down to Perth and Adelaide. Let's hope for the best, gentlemen. On that note, we would like to conclude this segment by just hope. The Ummeed pe duniya kaayam hai is what we like to say ourselves in Hindi. And with this, Umid, I hope you all have a great series. You all have a great weekend. Of course, IPL auctions is around the corner. We will have a separate segment on that pretty soon. And thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Jayesh. Thank you, Oreo. Thank you, Aditya. Always a pleasure to have all the three of you onto the panel. And until next time, it's a good night and sign off.